Hi everyone, today you're going to be working with the mean of a set of data. So the mean is another word for average, the average number per person, say. So I'll give you a couple of examples that you might recognize from school. So one is for your readathon. Sometimes we try and figure out what the average number of books each person read was. So if that was the case, we'd imagine that all the books are spread evenly amongst all the students. Even if you read more or less, we try and get a number that kind of represents everybody. So by spreading out those books to among all the kids, we can get an average number. You could also might see it on test scores. If you want to find the average mark on a test, the teacher would be putting all those test scores together and then spreading it out among everybody in the class so that she can come up with a number that represents what each student may have received on this test. And then you'd be able to see, did I get above the class average or below the class average? So these are some times in real life where we would be finding the mean out of a set of data. And I'll talk to you more about it now. First, I want to show you another example where you'll be able to see visually what I mean by spreading it out and coming up with an average number per person. Now, I've got some people here on my board, 5 people, and we won't tell Emma and Jordan that I've used their Easter candy in my math lesson. But anyway, I've got some jelly beans here. So we're going to say that each of these people ate the jelly beans that are listed above them here. So we can see that some people ate a lot of jelly beans, this one not as much. So what I want to do is, if I'm not concerned about exactly how many each person ate, and I just want to see about how many did each person eat, then that would be like finding the mean, just finding an average number per person. And what I'd want to do is I'd want to take these jelly beans and spread them out so that each person has the same amount. So what I would do is I'd start by maybe seeing which one had the most and which one had the least and start moving some over, trying to kind of spread these out a little bit. Okay, now I can see that I have 3 people with 4 now, and I have a person with 5 and a person with 3. So if I move this one here, then I have successfully spread out all those jelly beans so that each person has the same amount now. And we can see that the average or the mean of this data is 4. Each person ate about 4 jelly beans, even though that wasn't really the case when we first started. So I'm going to move these back for a minute. All right. And I'm going to show you another way, because we don't always have objects to move around. And especially if we have more than 5 people, we don't want to be trying to move things around like that. You will have a couple of questions in your book where you have a small example like this with a small sample of data to work with. But as our numbers get bigger, we need to have another strategy to use. So let's see here. I'm going to start by counting up all the jelly beans in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there were 20 jelly beans here all together. All right. And I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. So I'm actually going to use division for this, because division means that I've divided it into a certain number of groups. And that's exactly what I was doing when I was moving things around and sharing them equally. So if I take the total number, if I take the total sum here of my data and divide it by the number of values there are, then I will also get 4 without all that work. All right, so you'll see in your book that to find the mean, it's the sum of the data values. So adding up all your values together, and you may want to do a nice big tower and do it in standard algorithm just to make sure with the regrouping, divided by the number of data values. Okay? And that's how you can get the mean. So adding up all your data values and then dividing it up by how many there are, that will give you the mean. So I think you'll be able to follow that formula pretty easily. Now what I want to do over here with you is just go over some of the different ways to divide and just remind you of your division steps, okay? So if we have something like this, 15.3 divided by 3, so what I want you to do every time is go ahead and put it into long division. All right, this is a good strategy that's going to help you. So we have 15 here, 3 groups. So we know that we can put 5 in each and share that 15 for 0. And then remember, when we divide with a decimal, we're going to just leave that decimal till last. We're going to do normal long division right till the end. Okay, so now I'm going to be sharing here, and I know that that's once for a remainder of 0. All right, and then that decimal just goes right on top, okay, of where it was in the original question. And that's how we divide with a decimal. Okay, so I'm just reminding you here of the steps. Normal long division till the end, and then the decimal goes right on top. Now, when you're dividing by 10, all right, all that is moving the decimal place 1 place to the left. Okay, so dividing by 10, you don't need to worry about any of the long division. You just move that decimal 1 place to the left. All right, now this one is a little more complicated. We have a bigger number here, 2-digit number. So we have to think now to our 2-digit long division, which we did do. Okay, and 153 here. All right, so I'm going to use the 15. I'm going to go once here to share 15, subtract for a remainder of 0. Then I'm going to bring that 3 down. All right, now here is where it starts to get a little bit different. Normally, we would just say remainder 3, but what we want is an exact decimal number. When you're finding the mean, you have to get the decimal number, which means we have to keep going with long division until we get a remainder of 0. So because we have 3 here, I'm going to show you the strategy to use. What would happen is you would start you'd start going into decimal numbers. So you're going to imagine a decimal there, and you're going to add a 0 here. And we're going to think of that as 30 now instead. And that's the strategy you're going to use whenever you don't want to have remainders. You go ahead and go into decimal numbers. So we had a whole number 153, and then we're going to put it, so this up here is going to end up being a decimal number. Now, when we couldn't share with the 3, I should have put a 0 up there. All right, so then I created another decimal place by adding a 0, and now I have a decimal there. All right, so now 15 into 30 we can do, and that gives us 30. We've shared all 30 for a remainder of 0. So now that I have a remainder of 0, my long division is over, and my answer is 10.2. So just a reminder, when you can't share, okay, if it's too small to share, but it's not a remainder of 0 yet, you're going to put a decimal in and start adding zeros to the end of your number until you get a remainder of 0 at the bottom. All right, so I know that's a little bit tricky. You won't get onto this kind of thing until your 3rd page of finding the mean. If you have any trouble with your long division with decimals, let me know, and I can definitely help you out. So good luck with finding the mean, and I'll see you next time.